Hello girls, today you're going to see me do a fail on my lovely mom-in-law. Here are her hard gel nails. She's constantly in the kitchen or washing something, so her nails always get beat up. She gets lots of water damage, so her nails do lift at the bottom. I'm going to start with just taking off the gel polish with a very coarse ceramic bit, and then what you see me doing midway is I'm touching the nail bed to make sure that the bit isn't going too fast and the nail bed isn't warming up. One thing I do to save time in the manicure process when I'm removing old product is I also take down the nail length if that's what the client would like. I start off very slowly and midway show my client how much I've already taken off, and we agree on a length that they would prefer. If you are a beginner, I do recommend finding a ceramic bit with a safety bun on top. I'm not sure what you would call it, but it's that round edge. It's not sharp and abrupt, and it helps you guide around the cuticle area to make sure your client is safe and never hurt. Next, you see this nail completely came off. It had to be redone. She did bump this one, and there was some lifting. You can tell it's been like that for a little while. So I'm gonna go in with my hand file. It's an IBD Emerald. I believe it's a 180 grit. It's one of my favorites, and I go in to reshape the free edge and take down extra hard gel that's towards the cuticle area, because at that point when you start working with little drill bits for the rushed manicure, it will be in your way. So you see me working into a manicure already. I did the cuticle pusher. Now I'm going in with my cone. This cone lifts the cuticle up and opens up the sinuses so that later on I can get in with a different bit. So the second bit that I'm using, it's the Red Flame. It's very soft, but you do want to be careful with it. For beginners, never apply pressure. Always push up towards the cuticle versus down on the nail. That way you will not hurt your client. Also, work in reverse, going one way and then turning it in reverse and then going the other way. This nail, you can see me going the other way in reverse. I find this technique always to be helpful. I'll take one hand, I'll go one way, I'll switch to the other hand, I'll go one way, and then I'll pause it, turn in reverse, and start with that hand going reverse, and then go to the next hand going reverse. That way you save time from clicking back and forth. This drill bit is also a flame. It's just a little bit more sharp and just a little bit more rough. It has a blue stripe on it. I like to use this to get into the tiny little nooks up there that the Red Flame couldn't get. I feel like with this drill bit, since it is more coarse, you're gonna want to be even more gentle with the pressure on this one. I have done some overfiling on myself using my non-dominant hand, but I've come to practice and it's all good now. But just a heads up, you do want to be very gentle with the pressure, always pushing up towards the cuticle versus down. So this round sphere is the last bit that I use in the manicure process. It's a green stripe. It's pretty soft, but depending on your client, depending on their cuticle, depending how rough their skin is, you're gonna want to be gentle. I don't use this on all of my clients. Some clients I just use some scissors or nippers, but clients with more dry and rough skin, they handle this sphere beautifully. You're gonna want to be able to get used to each client and see what their skin type is. So for right now, you can see that my mom, I was testing out her skin. Sometimes we use the sphere, sometimes we don't. Today her hands were more moist I guess that's when you would say, or more hydrated than usual, and the sphere wasn't taking the skin off as it would better if your hands were dry and less moisturized. So I had to finish off with the nippers. Also, just a random little rule of thumb, I like to remind my girls before they come in, please no lotion that day, because the oils do soak into your nail bed and it's more likely that you will have lifting even with all the cleaning being done. So just make yourself a little note in your head, even if it's just a fill, especially for a full set, avoid any oils for that day. Now that we're done with the manicure and we've dusted everything off and we're happy with the shape, I wipe everything down with some acetone, and then I go in with Integrity I&M cleanser. It dehydrates the nail plate and gets it, it's the prep process basically, gets it prepped and ready for your hard gel fill. After that, we go in with C&D nail primer. It's non-acid. I've worked with one of those before and that was awful. So this is much more gentle. Still, sometimes if there's a little nick on the skin, it will give a little burning sensation, but it's not too uncomfortable and it goes away in just a bit. My go-to hard gel is IBD. I'm using the soft pink for Mom. Her free edge is very white. We are not sure why, but it looks like she has the mini French tip going. And we use the soft pink to soften the look of that because she doesn't like it. In previous fill video that I have, you see that I'm doing the same step. I take a small amount of hard gel and you rub it in. The first layer, you're just going to apply as much pressure to make sure that the nail bed is fully covered and soaks it up real well. You're going to want to flash cure that for at least 30 seconds. If you can do longer, that's great. But I feel like once you're doing one hand, it's in the lamp. It takes about a minute to do the other hand, so that's perfect. This sad little guy will be repaired. I'll be using Polygel from Rossi. First, you can see me applying a form. It's from Easy Flow, I believe. You want to make sure the free edge is fully underneath the sticker, or on top I should say. I'm using clear, and then we'll go in over the top with IBD's pink cover gel. I have used other polygels. This one from Rossi seems to have little grits of acrylic in it, maybe that's what it is. It's very coarse. It does remind me of acrylic once you're filing it, so be prepared to use your file. Maybe not your hand file, maybe your electric file. Go in with that at first and then finish shaping with your hand file. With building a new free edge with Polygel, I like to build the free edge first, cure it, remove the sticker, and then I go in and do the full nail bed. I do this because with this nail specifically, it's been bumped and it's bruised and sensitive, and the nail bed is, you know, much more soft. So to avoid any burning sensation you would get with hard gel, you don't get that same burning sensation with Polygel. So to avoid any uncomfort sensation for the client, I go in with Polygel and then I'll go in with hard gel. Another thing to keep in mind with Polygel, you don't want to get too close to the cuticle area, because I've noticed when using the alcohol cleanser for the nail brush, it kind of melts or disperses the Polygel into the cuticle area that you can't visibly see until you're applying the gel polish, and then you're kind of already late and it's a little inconvenient. So what I would recommend you doing is get as close to the cuticle as you can see that everything's clean, and then towards the end, once you file to perfection, finish up with some hard gel. This nail you see me doing is actually just the pinky, and that's the way I do a regular fill. So I put on a little bead of hard gel, I pull it down, and then I like to use my detailer brush to pull down from the cuticle area to make sure there's no risen area. and I check the side view to make sure the apex is there, the curve is pretty, and then we cure it. I've gone ahead and done a fill on all the nails, not to bore you because I've already got a fill video for you guys. Here I'm going in with my coarse drill bit. I like to do this to take off any extra, sides or whatnot, and it speeds up the process. This one especially, this is the Polygel nail. It's much more rough, it's tougher to file, so this is how I go in. I'll take down the length, I'll take the thickness, and I'll go in from there. After I've done that with my coarse file, I go in with my hand file. Also, keep in mind, the Polygel warms up the same way as acrylic would if you're filing it. So it heats up really quickly. Be mindful of that and make sure you're always testing out the finger to make sure it's not too warm. So like I said, after you're done with your coarse drill bit, I go in with my hand file because you can never get the exact shaping you want with an electric e-file. You always want to go in for details with your hand file. And I have this new ceramic bit I got. It's for the cuticle area and also for the free edge, not necessarily free edge, but underneath. Clients that have lots of lifting for underneath, I like to file down their natural nail and cap it with gel polish clear top coat afterwards. And then you just saw me going with a buffer, and then we wipe it down with acetone obviously and cleanse it and prep it for gel polish. The color I'm using today is Enchanted by Seaweed Gel. It's one of my favorite brands, not counting Rossi at the moment. I love their polishes as well, but Seaweed Gel has been my top for the last 2 years, I believe. Their colors are very beautiful, very pigmented, they hold on very well, and they're also 5 free. They're like vegan and cruelty free, and they have no formaldehyde and all those other dangerous chemicals. Also, they have a line that cures in the sun, which you don't need a lamp for, which is pretty cool too. So check them out, you guys. And another thing you guys always see me doing, I'm always using my detailer brush, even if it's just for the first initial layer. When you're laying down any layer, it doesn't matter, your first layer, second layer, always perfect it, always make it look good, always lay it down right. That way the end result is always going to look good. I always pull down the sides, I always pull down the top of the cuticle area, because when you go in and you see me pushing up right now, it creates a little bump that maybe you don't see right now, but within layers, when you turn the nail on the side view, you will see that little lifted bump. So what I like to do with my detailer brush is pull that down slightly and straighten it out the same way you saw me doing with just the hard gel while doing a fill. Just pulls it all down, smoothens it out, and gives it a nice, just lays it down really nice. And lastly, but most importantly, top coat. I love Pucci's nails. It's been my favorite for the last 2 years. I've compared it to many. There's Seaweed Gel, there's even OPI, C&D, all of those. Just don't compare. They get scratches, they get chips. And so far with this one, I have my girls coming back after 4, 5, and 6 weeks even with shiny nails, no scratches, no scuff marks, and no chipping. And at the very end, I always use some cuticle oil. It's a finishing touch. It rehydrates those cuticles that have been overly dried with the dehydrators and acetone and whatnot. So after you're done with that, I like to wipe down the nail bed. It kind of preps the nails for your picture mode if that's what you're doing. It soaks up any extra oils off the nail bed and gets you a nice moisturized but not overly greasy nail look. So thanks for watching, girls. Sorry for chatting your ear off. I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and also don't forget to join me on Instagram. Till next time, bye!